Hey everyone! Welcome back to Serving 813, a radio show and podcast featuring Tampa Bay organizations and groups every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. We're your hosts, Ava Lamison
and Ava Hyde.
And today we are super lucky and excited to be joined with one of the faces and voices behind Learn and Serve Tampa.
Now, if you don't already know, Learn and Serve Tampa is a nonprofit organization that bridges the gap between classroom learning and real-world impact, helping schools and educators integrate service as a powerful tool for academic and person growth.
So with that said, welcome to the show, Christy Verdi.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Yes,
we're so excited to have you.
Yes. Wow, you read my mind. We said like the same thing. All right. Well, my first question for you is, on a deeper level, what is Learn and Serve Tampa all about, and what's its overall mission?
Well, our overall mission is to really support teachers doing service learning because that's the access we have to students. Teachers are gatekeepers. They kind of, if I want to get to, especially middle school kids, I've got to have teacher partners to work with. So I try to make sure that I help the teachers understand what service learning is, and that I help with the logistics of service projects and provide materials and all of that. At a deeper level, my goal is to build better humans.
Yeah.
Because at middle school, lots of data to kind of back this up, but that's this very critical stage. A lot of cognitive development's going on, and a lot of character development is going on. And it's best to catch them at that age because by the time they move on to high school, other things are going on.
Yeah, I think bridging the gap from middle school to high school is really important. It gets overlooked sometimes because if kids don't know what service is and know where to serve from a younger age, it's really difficult in high school to kind of get thrown into it.
Right. And so and working with kids, I first define like volunteering and then community service and then service learning. And they begin to see that, okay, there's different levels. But what we try to do is encourage the students to think of what they want to do as service. And we encourage their interests, their passions, their talents. Look at what opportunities are out there that will really connect to you.
Yeah, actually, so if anyone's listening doesn't know, Miss Verdi is my mentor for Ryanese, and we were talking a few days ago about, we had a meeting, and it was talking about finding things that you're actually interested in, and that kind of helps you realize that the service you're doing is really just helping other people to discover what you love because they could also love it.
Yeah.
So,
and do you remember what it is that I love?
Putting on the spot.
No.
Where did I go before I came here?
Well, I know that you obviously college. You went to Georgia. You discovered your.
I know the answer to this.
What?
The Humane Society.
Before.
Yes, remember? I used to put up. Well, when I talk to middle school kids, I sometimes start with a slide that's got a bunch of cats on it. It's got this cat that's reading a book, and the book is military history. And so I say, "What do I like?"
Yeah.
And they say, "Cats, yes. Reading, yes. Military history, yeah. It's fascinating."
Yeah.
And so those are my passions. So my personal volunteer experience has been at the Humane Society, the Tampa Bay Humane Society of Tampa Bay. I would consistently go a couple of mornings a week and help with the cats feeding and all that. I developed into a cat companion. And so my job was to socialize little wild kittens.
Aww.
So
Yeah, I do remember you saying that now. You said that you sometimes go there just to see the cats, especially like I know Humane Society has like the rooms that you kind of go in.
Yes.
The cats are so cute
And
there.
I feel like that's a big thing, especially for like when I was a freshman in high school, I had no idea. I mean, I still don't know what I like and I know what I love, but like I don't know what I want to do yet,
it's
you know?
difficult to
So
figure
I
it
feel like
out.
that's a good age starting at middle school to like immerse yourself in that stuff.
Yeah. So another question I have is, what role does Learn and Serve Tampa play in the 813 area?
Well, at 813, I work with teachers who reach out to me, or I'm constantly reaching out to Hillsborough County, Pasco County, and Pinellas County. I kind of call that my footprint.
Yeah.
I've had I have a lot of connections in Hillsborough because I was a teacher here for a while. And so I have many schools that are, involved in service learning in Hillsborough. I have a few now from Pasco. I actually live in Pasco now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I substitute when I have time and
when you can,
because I need money. So I've gotten involved with some of the schools in Pasco now. So, I just keep reaching out and saying, if you want to get involved, let me know. It doesn't have to be a teacher in a classroom. It could be a homeschooler.
Right.
It could be a service club or a youth group. My goal is just to engage youth in meaningful service. And it doesn't have to be middle school. I've had a few elementary schools. They're in EHS. There you go. National Elementary Honor Society.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yes. And so I've had a couple of schools do projects, and then of course high schools. I have numerous high schools that have done things.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, what are some of the service opportunities you provide for?
Well, so my focus has had to shift just simply because, from a growth standpoint, the nonprofit has. I don't have a benefactor, and so if somebody's out there looking for something to support. So basically, I'm a volunteer, and it's really just me at this point. I have board members that are very supportive, but they're not educators.
Yeah.
And they themselves are they have their own lives and they have their own jobs, and they donate and contribute as much as they can. But the funding hasn't been there. So what I do is I focus on the 3 national days of service, and what I do is try to plan something that kids at all these different schools can participate in that will connect. So for Martin Luther King Day, for instance, I know from, what I know about Martin Luther King Jr., he's very passionate about several issues, the economics, giving people jobs, poverty, and then he went on into militarism and pushing back against that. So what I know that we have a food insecurity issue in Tampa. A lot of people might not realize that, but we do. Now, of course, our issues here are nothing compared to places around the globe.
Right.
But I tell kids to think globally, act locally, because you can have a real impact. So the students at all the schools that are involved are getting a map of their community. They're mapping out the locations of grocery stores, of food pantries, of soup kitchens, and they're researching what is the percentage of food insecure people in their own community and coming up with solutions if they can. So that's one service, is Feeding Tampa Bay for Martin Luther King Day, which they will be open for Martin Luther King Day, and they haven't, advertised that yet. But as soon as they do, everybody's welcome to sign up, because it's a great day. So for Global Youth Service Day, I open it up and say, do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And that's where the fun begins. So one year we did tortoise hole markings.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes,
Never
yes.
heard of that.
There was a school that was surrounded by a natural area that was protected. And I reached out to them and said, what can the kids do? And they said, well, it helps us when we mark the tortoise hole, go for tortoise holes, because they're a keystone species. I don't know if you understand.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they're
yes.
at the
I'm
You were in AP Bio.
Yes, okay. So they are a keystone species, and they're protected. So what they do is we went around, found them, and put stakes in the ground and marked them, kind of like they do the turtle eggs on the beach. But that way, if they're out with like a four-wheeler picking up trash, they don't run over those.
Right.
And so for those people who don't know what a keystone species is, the gopher tortoises dig the hole, and it's very deep and very long. People don't realize that. But then other species live off of it. And, bunny rabbits and skunks, raccoons, rattlesnakes. Ooh. Yeah, we don't like that.
We don't like those. But.
So anyway, I really wanted to have I don't know how to do TikTok, but if I did, I thought it'd be fun to go around and say, what's in this hole?
And they're all...
And, challenge my husband to put his arm down in there. He won't do it.
See what he could find.
Yes.
See what creatures.
What's in this hole? Because we have several on our property.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so I've done those kinds of things. I've done assisted living homes where students go in, meet the people who live there, and then constantly go back and take them little gifts and do performances for them and learn their history, which is the history teacher in me. So.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, Learn and Serve Tampa really checks all the boxes.
Yeah,
with
literally.
Service opportunities.
Well, I try. So, I try to encourage the teachers, leave it up to the kids. Let the kids make a decision. And sometimes, I have a teacher who leaves it up to them and all of their classes decide to do different things. And then they're all stressed out. And I'm like, that's where I can come in.
Yeah,
okay?
that's where you can help. That's where you can.
Yes. So, last year I had a group, it was the tortoise year. Some of the kids wanted to do a drive for the Humane Society or the Pet Resource Center. And they wanted to make toys and make pet treats. And so I bought the, materials. So it ended up that all the kids were going out marking the tortoise things. They came back and helped make treats and everybody just had a good time.
That's so fun. So we know you like, obviously, history. Do you want to maybe share the history of Learn and Serve Tampa and how you founded it and all that stuff?
Okay. Well, I didn't know what service learning was until I accidentally did it. And then someone came to me and said, you just did service learning. And I was like, ooh, what is that? So the National Youth Leadership Council, it's an organization, national organization, and they are really the home of service learning. And so I've been going to their conferences. And then when I was a teacher here at Randall, when I first got to Florida, I asked the principal if I could have a class. And she kind of took it the wrong way. And then she gave me 6th grade on the wheel. Do y'all remember the wheel?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah. You would take like 2 weeks in a different class, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I had to rinse and repeat, do this. So we decided to do recycling.
Okay.
And so our school was number 1 in collecting clean recycled materials. Long story short, it didn't end up the way we wanted it to, but we did start something great in the district, and then it might have gone the wrong direction. But anyway, so Randall, I was there for a number of years. Those kids, actually, one student in particular who was from New Jersey, and one day we were talking in class, and somebody said something about 9/11, and another student said, "What's that?" And he was like, "You don't know what that is?" This is a 6th grader talking to a 6th grader.
Yeah.
And this was probably in 2010,
Okay.
a long time ago. Anyway, and he said, that's something we need to do. We need to make sure everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Now, he recalled 2 things. He remembers his mother crying, and he remembers seeing the smoke out of the apartment building they lived in. And they were from, like I said, New Jersey. Yeah. So we started planning. That year, they decided to make stars for all of the victims. Oh, so we made stars, and it was cute, and it was nice. But they came in, and they said, we got to do bigger. I said, okay, bigger stars. So we made bigger stars the next year, and we put it in the shape of a star.
There you go.
And then a windstorm came and blew all the stars away.
Oh, boy.
Okay. The next year, they said, bigger. So by this time, they're 8th graders. The 6th graders are now 8th graders. And they came up with a plan to create an American flag. And the kids in the school, all the kids, each kid made 2 of these placards for victims. And then the whole school got involved. We took it out, put them in, and created this beautiful American flag. So that kind of is the Keystone Project, if we want to call it a Keystone. It's a Keystone Project for Learn and Serve Tampa. When I left teaching at 29 years, and everybody's like, why not 30? Well, okay. COVID had come in, and I had been doing virtual school. And it allowed me the opportunity, because of the adjusted hours, we had to have 2 nights that we worked. So 2 mornings, I could go in and teach other kids in schools about service learning. So when it came time that I was going to have to go back into the classroom, I decided just to step out. And so I had already started it, but I put my full energy into getting it going. So it's been it was founded in 2020, and here we are.
Been going since.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
5 years
Love to hear
strong.
Oh, I think that wraps up our first section for
Okay.
Oh,
this.
yes. Wow, already?
I
This
know.
show's speeding by. All right, I'm thinking we're going to play a little Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
We'll be back after this song.
And we're back. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure to tune in to live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm one of your hosts, Ava Hyde, and we're here with Miss Christy Verdi from Learn and Serve Tampa.
So for this segment, we want to talk more about you, Christy, and your role within Learn and Serve Tampa. So my first question is for you is, as founder, what does a typical day look like?
Oh, typical day. There's no such thing. So what I do is once I reach out to teachers, and as we're planning for, one of these national days of service, there's a lot of days. I mean, most of it's just virtual work.
Yeah.
I have meetings with teachers virtually. And then like today, as we're getting into the lesson part, I create a lesson. And so today I went and did the lesson at a middle school.
Okay.
And I had so much fun.
That's so
and
cool.
So I do a little bit of visitation. It also means that sometimes I have to go visit some of the partners that the nonprofits that these kids are involved with. So Feeding Tampa Bay, for
Right.
instance. And so that's mostly it is virtual up until the day or the month of service when
Right.
it's actually hands-on. For Martin Luther King Day, what we're doing is I'm using a grant that I have to cover the expense of carrying some of these middle schoolers to Feeding Tampa Bay to do the warehouse sorting.
Okay, yeah.
So kids who are in middle school cannot go alone.
right.
They have to have a parent, and parents work and are busy.
Yeah.
So some kids never get to experience that. So we're providing, the bus and the substitute so that the kids can get there, and the teachers don't have to stress out about not having a sub.
yeah.
And those things typically aren't covered anymore within the school budget. So, and then of course I create the lesson, and they can share that with their kids. So, typical day is all over the place. There is no such thing as typical.
Yeah.
Because it just all depends on how many people are getting involved and how many more I want to get involved and how far I need to reach out.
Yeah.
Social media is my big challenge. I'm a social media idiot, really.
Maybe someone listening wants to be like a social media chair for
Yeah,
Learn and Serve
yeah,
Tampa.
yeah.
Reach out.
I always say I tweet myself. That's all I do. Like I put it out there and I just tweeted myself. That's it. I don't understand how a lot of this stuff works, so I really do need some help with
It
that.
gets tricky. But if anyone's listening and wants
Yes.
to,
Hey,
reach out.
yes,
Never know.
Yes.
So how did you first get involved with Learn and Serve Tampa and start kind of everything from scratch a little bit?
Okay. So, let me back up because the thing that got me into service learning when I didn't know that that's what I was doing was actually I was a high school teacher in Georgia, and I was in a portable. I was actually in portable number 51, which was the height. That was the end of the line.
Oh, goodness.
And it was in like a practice field.
Yeah.
So it rains a lot in the winter in Georgia, and there's a lot of red clay. And these kids were, running through the pouring rain, down through the grass, up into the portable, and of course bringing all their mud and slosh. And they were complaining and whining about their shoes. Now, today, back then the shoes weren't that big of a deal, but today there would be kids who would skip class rather than get their shoes dirty. Okay. So anyway, these kids, I said, well, y'all need to do something about it. And they were like, what? And I said, well, maybe let's call the district and see if they'll put a sidewalk, So I had the kids do it. Like, I don't think we had cell phones, but I sent a couple of kids in and they made a call and they just kind of laughed at them and said, no, that's temporary. So we're not going to put a sidewalk in.
Yeah.
So I don't know who spit the idea out, but some kid said, my dad works at Lowe's and we have these pavers. What if we put pavers down? And I was like, that's a good idea. I said, but you can't do that during class time because that's, it's a service,
Yeah.
but it's not learning.
Right. You're doing a classroom.
So I said, y'all come up with a way to make it learning. And they did. It was world history. And we were discussing the Four River Valley civilizations. So they came back with like a piece of poster board and they said, so let's pretend this is 6 tiles. And they had drawn a scene from Egypt, from the Nile River. And they had marked it up with all of the things we had talked about. And they said, what if we painted this onto a set of tiles? And I was like, wow. So then the kids got all excited
That's
about
creative.
it. Oh, my God. It ended up being. So we opened it up. Language arts jumped in. Math jumped in. And our school had 4,100 students.
Oh.
And I would say half of those got involved.
Oh, wow.
That's
and
amazing.
they were all creating these. We ruined the tennis court because that was the place we ended up painting them all.
Okay.
But it was going to be resurfaced anyway. So,
Okay, that's good.
But we got the tiles donated, the paint
wow.
donated, and we had to buy brushes and whatever. So that's when this lady walks up to me and she says, that's service learning. And I said, I don't know what that is.
Wow.
She said, you connected the service to learning. And I was like, wow. But the biggest moment was when the principal came in to talk to me. And I thought I was in trouble. And he said, do you know what you did? I'm like,
Oh, boy. Could be really good or really bad. Like,
he said, you gave them a purpose. And that meant a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the gist of learning.
Yeah.
If kids know that there's a purpose behind what they're doing, they will engage.
Yeah,
And that's always the big thing. We need to engage our kids. Well, engage them in a purposeful activity, a meaningful activity, and you will get them engaged.
Yeah.
They will learn, and you'll remember it forever. To that point, I still have kids. Well, they're almost 40 now, but I still communicate on Facebook.
Yeah.
I have Facebook friends that were students of mine back then.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is.
Oh, my goodness. And they still reach out.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, 9/11, I was in a classroom, and so I just recently, a kid said, I was with you when the towers fell.
Oh, my goodness.
And that, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So they do remember things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys remember something from your middle school.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yes.
I do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think what you said about knowing what you're doing, like service-wise, is really helpful, because I think when you find out what you love and you know what you're doing and you know what purpose and what you're doing for people and seeing what impact you're having, it makes you a lot more inclined to keep doing it.
Yes. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the concept of ikigai.
I have not.
I have not
please
either.
tell us.
It's a Japanese concept, and obviously we're doing a podcast, so I can't show it to you. But it is the convergence of 4 different aspects. Let me see if I can get this right. Your passion, your talent, I can't remember. We may have to look this up. But anyway, it's the convergence of your passion, your talent, and your occupation, and how you can make money. So you bring those all together, and that gives you, a very happy life.
Yes.
And are you looking it up?
I am
Thank
right
you,
now,
Thank you,
yes.
thank you. Ikigai, I-K. What is it? What are the 4 components? Because this is important.
Let's see what it is.
It's your passion, your talent.
What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what in your occupation.
Okay. So here's the gist. The occupation part is important, especially in a capitalistic society. You got to make money to live. So see, I have hit all of these components, but the problem is the job doesn't pay. But I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love. But yeah, that is something that I use to teach kids. I'm like, you don't want to be miserable your whole life. Find what you love and turn it into a career.
Yeah.
And that's like, when these, no offense, young people out there, but I'm going to be an NFL player. You very well might be the 0.02% that make it to the field. Okay. You might be. If you're not, look at all the different occupations that are around football or sports. Plan for that. And if the other happens, great. Keep going. But you've got this thing to fall back on that will make you happy every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people don't really realize they have a goal and they want to be that only thing, but there's so many things that surround it. Yeah.
And I feel like I've noticed this a lot doing this podcast. I mean, with all these organizations coming in, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that.
That's so true.
But my next question for you, Christy, is what part of Learn and Serve Tampa brings you the most joy?
I think when I go in to work with kids on their project, the thing that they're doing is a service, and I can stand back and kind of watch them. They usually ignore me at that point. The only time I get their attention is, when I'm standing up and teaching, and I try to build in all the turn and talk and talk in your group and all that stuff that you're supposed to do. But I usually bounce around the room and I hand out little, pencils and stuff like that. But I've lost my train of thought here. This happens.
No worries at all. You were talking about how you're in the classroom and you help. We were asked you what brings the most joy, and I think you're on track with the kids.
Kids.
Yeah. I think that's what
Period. I do better communicating with kids than I do adults, and that's one thing, as a CEO or an executive director, that sounds so lofty. There are, gatherings of nonprofit CEOs and executive directors. I don't really feel that comfortable
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I feel more comfortable standing in front of a group of middle schoolers. I know people are like, "Are you crazy?" But it is, and it's just something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Kids are sometimes a little bit easier to talk to. It's a little bit more comfortable to see. And especially at a young age, you get them really interested and they want to know. Sometimes as adults, it's a little bit hard to grab their attention.
Yes.
So I understand.
I think, like today, our lesson was about Martin Luther King. And it was funny because I think somebody came in to watch the class and they were like, "Why are y'all already talking about Martin Luther King?" I said, "You can talk about Martin Luther King any day of the week."
year round.
And I said, but we're prepping them to understand why we've chosen food insecurity. And I bring up, different speeches, but in his Nobel Peace Prize speech, he mentions that he has the audacity to believe that everybody deserves 3 meals a day. And so I said, we're going to have the audacity to try to make that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And but once the kids get involved with the project, they really get excited.
Yeah.
And getting some feedback from them also gives me that little, makes me feel good.
In a world where such like kids our age are so like into like technology and like focus on that one thing, it's great you get to immerse them into like how you can actually serve the community and learn stuff like in a very like you get to see them like doing their thing.
Yeah.
I am so happy that technology is being, or at least cell phones, are being limited in middle school now. I feel like we have this period where, we kind of thought this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we went all in. And I think now we realize that it's become a beast.
Yeah.
And it has had an impact on cognitive development. When young kids, babies, are handed a phone or an iPad to keep them busy and occupied, their brain is being rewired.
Right.
And that is what they expect.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit, I'm addicted to this. Yes, my husband heard me say that. I am addicted to the phone, but I try to really, separate myself from it until I have a few minutes where I can scroll. And I actually put a timer on. So.
Yeah, I honestly try to do the same, but sometimes it fails.
I admit I have a time limit on my. I have like the screen time or whatever.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I need to do that for everything. So.
Yeah, well, I think this already wraps up the second segment. The show's flying by.
Right?
It's already like 34 minutes in, but it's a request from Christy. We're going to be playing some Green Day.
Yes.
Love it. I hope Christy's husband is listening to the song. This is Panic Song by Green Day, and we'll be back after this song. And we're back. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure to tune into live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. I'm one of your hosts, Ava Lamison, and we're here with Christy from Learn and Serve Tampa. So for this segment, I posted an Instagram story the other day asking you guys listening to send in questions regarding Learn and Serve Tampa. And just like always, we got a ton of responses.
Oh, yes.
And you have a bunch of questions to answer, Christy.
Oh, my God.
So I'm not going to keep rambling, and let's get into it.
Okay, so the first one we have here is what makes Learn and Serve Tampa different from other organizations?
Well, Learn and Serve Tampa doesn't necessarily offer you a volunteer opportunity. Like, you can't, email me and say, can I volunteer with you this weekend?
Right.
So I think that makes it different, that what I'm going to do, especially if an individual, and I have had, mostly it's parents that are forcing their kids to do service. How can I get my son to go out and do this? And I'm like, you really shouldn't force him out to go do it.
Yeah.
But what does he like to do? And, it's like kids who like baseball. Well, there's baseball buddies.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm sharing different ways that they can serve. And the other option is create your own. So, if you are, like you were talking about art, if you're artistic, what can you do with that? Well, you could do art therapy in an assisted living home with an older person who may need to work on their motor skills, So it's just little things like that. So on my website, I do have a document that says Independent Service Learner. And it's just a form that kind of walks you through what you would need to do to plan your own. And, there's also easy, like Keeping Tampa Bay Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I've served with them before.
You can, and see, the thing is they have all these events planned, but they welcome anybody to plan their own.
Yeah.
And they'll provide the vests and the buckets and the little grabby things that everybody loves and the bags. And you go by and pick them up. And then, you just have to send in a report, say we picked up this much, whatever. But if you spend 10 hours on that, I feel like, if you contact me and you do that, then you send me documentation, I can approve your hours, for community service. Because that's kind of become the focus now is, I need hours for my college applications,
But I feel like having such like a broad range of like what you can actually do to like serve your community makes it like you forget you're volunteering because you're having fun, And I feel like that's especially good for like kids like coming of age to like figure out what they want to do.
Finding what you love and doing service through it. It's really important.
All right. The next DM says, if you could describe Learn and Serve Tampa in one word, what would it be? Crazy question.
Kind of a tricky
One word.
I don't know about that.
You can do a few if it's a little bit easier.
I say, well, purposeful, meaningful, empowerment.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I like those. I think it's a really good way to describe exactly what you guys are doing, helping people through helping them find what they like. Okay, this next DM reads, wait, let me see this. Oh, why do you think it's important for our community to have a service organization like Learn and Serve Tampa?
Well, my hope in creating it was to support educators, especially public school educators right now. They're in a very challenging situation. They have to meet all these, standards and requirements. Sometimes it can seem like it's impossible when you're in a classroom. And, I try to speak to that to people that I can that will listen to me. But we are overwhelming them with what they have to do in a classroom. Teaching has become, I don't know, secondary. They're no longer teachers. They're administrators in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I think that has been the key thing, is to support teachers And that's different because
Yeah.
there's not really, there's not many organizations that, kind of that's their goal. And, the other part is I've ended up mentoring,
Yeah.
some young teachers. And they really need that support because they don't have it. If I can go in and we can co-teach and they kind of see, what I do. Not that I'm perfect, but I am energetic. And so, when they see that, controlling classroom management is not so much, yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
It's engaging, and, I had to learn the hard way. I by the way, if you're out there listening, I taught at Franklin Boys Preparatory Academy, middle school for boys. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I learned a lot, but I loved it. And I still go back. Like, I constantly go back and try to help them do different service things. So,
yeah.
Okay. Is that a good answer?
It was a great
Yes,
answer.
I love that. All right. The next DM says, what are your long-term goals for Learn and Serve Tampa?
Well, this is not a happy question. My long-term goal would be to find someone who could support the organization. And when I say support the organization, I'm on the board, and so therefore I cannot receive compensation. So it's not that I want to make a lot of money, but it would be nice to have some of my own, contribution to the household. So, I'm hoping to find someone that will, help me get to that point, and I can step off the board, and I can either be an executive director or actually, I prefer to be the program manager. I enjoy the actual hands-on going out and working with kids.
Yeah.
And so, if I could, I would have to be able to pay an executive director. And what it would have to be probably is a younger teacher, and they would need to expect and should expect at least what they would make as a teacher. I would prefer that to be more.
Yeah.
So until we do that, we're where we're at. The 3 national days of service, I can get small grants to accomplish the goals there. I don't spend all of my time doing this, but I would love to see it grow to where each of the school districts was like calling me.
Yeah.
And going,
Yeah.
how can we do this?
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen. I have to, convince different teachers, you can do this. Let me help you, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is such a meaningful initiative. I can definitely see this legacy continuing on.
Yeah, me too. You never know.
I hope so.
Yeah. And then our last one is, how can people reach out and get involved?
Well, the simple way is, you can just send me an email, and it's kverde@learnandservetampa.org. And that is, of course, on the website, learnandservetampa.org. Very easy.
We'll link it in our Instagram.
The other thing is you can subscribe to a monthly newsletter. I don't harass people. That's probably why I haven't raised much money, because I don't harass people. But I send out a monthly newsletter for kids your age. I guess the best part, like I have a whole list of links that guide you to places that need volunteers.
Okay.
And I try to keep that updated. I did have somebody call and ask me to add them. I was so happy. But I try to stay on top of that. What are the opportunities? But I also include, a review of what we've done and what's coming up, and I try to find some interesting stories. My goal was to blog on there regularly, and I haven't so much been doing that because usually I'm planning for something. Yeah. But I really would like to get back to that, where I'm writing about service learning and different components of it and why it's important, and sharing that. So but they can just email me. Or, there is no snail mail. Sorry.
Well, we'll make sure to put that in our Instagram post. But anyway, I think that wraps up our Q&A portion.
Yes, it does.
And Christy's time on the show. Yay. Thank you so much for being a part of Serving 813. We're so happy to have you here.
Hey, well, it's been a pleasure.
Well, I'm going to give you a little outro song. You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I like that song. I guess that's not like, I don't know.
Love a bad name.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Oh boy. Well, don't go anywhere because after this break, me and Ava will be reflecting on our favorite parts of today's episode. Thank you so much again, Christy.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back after this.
And we're back. Welcome.
Hello?
Sorry about that. Welcome back to Serving 813. Make sure to tune in to live365.com every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. if you want to find ways to serve your community. I'm one of your hosts, Ava Hyde, and we were just here with Christy Verdi from Learn and Serve Tampa. And now it's just me and Ava, and this is our little reflection time.
Yes, we have so much to reflect on. I'm laughing so hard about this little outro thing. Guys, You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi's a great song.
It's a great
That's
song.
what I meant.
It was just in a little bit of a poor representation.
I know, sorry. It's late. I had
we're
school
tired.
today.
We've been here for a little bit.
Yes.
We love it here.
You know, I really love today's show, and
Me too.
it reminded me of Ryan East Foundation just for younger, like middle schoolers, right?
Yeah. It's like kind of bridging the gap between middle school to high school to teach them about learning, as we heard. I think my favorite part was probably hearing the story about the kids painting the stones and how the kids thought of the idea to kind of combine learning and serving, because that was really cool.
And
how
even
they painted
the 9/11 like American flag, they
that
made
was really
the
cool.
tribute.
And they did it like 3 times.
Yeah, it's like great seeing how kids like have their creativity and like their purpose. Like, does that make sense?
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know how to word it.
No,
but
I think you're saying kind of like putting what they love into a purpose and then serving that way.
Yes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And especially I know I said this before, but like in a world where such like AI is taking over and like kids like lose creativity and just prioritize like their phones. I mean, me saying this with like my phone right next to me, but still, it's great seeing them like all come together and like actually have a purpose to do something they love. And I feel like that's also a really big thing. Like volunteering, you're not just confined to like throwing something in a bag or picking up trash. I mean, like you can do whatever you want with Learn and Serve Tampa. Like find your niche and you can do it, and you forget your gang service hours because it's so fun. I so
agree. Well, I think that probably wraps up our episode.
This was a great episode and a quick episode. I mean, all these epides are quick. How has this already been 50 minutes?
We probably should mention Oh, well, next week we'll have our recorded show playing.
Yes. Oh, and we won't have a show
A live
on
show.
Veterans Day, but this will be playing 11/18, so
tune in to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you haven't already, go follow us on Instagram at Serving813 to get updated on all episodes. And if you're an organization that wants to be on the show, you can DM us and you can stream this episode hopefully in a couple days.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're serving your city one convo at a time. This is Ava Lamison signing off.
And this is Ava Hyde signing off.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.